Here we go. Mississippi State at 9. Too high, too low, just right.
As it sits right now with the questions you have about their pitching staff, probably just right. You know, they have some talented guys there, but they don't have anybody proven. I mean, even this time last year, Durangelo and Kyle Steven were more proven than anybody Mississippi State will plan to start this year. So got some questions there, but the talent is definitely there. And again, the schedule is just, when you look at their schedule, Borky, they're set up to win 40 games in the regular season because, as I mentioned, everybody is picked behind them. They play, and then they don't play A&M, they don't play Tennessee, they don't play Arkansas, they don't play Georgia, and they don't play Vanderbilt. So they
kind of a no excuses setup.
And their non-conference is not that daunting. They really should win a lot of games this year. If they don't, that's a big red flag, and that might be the straw that breaks the back.
Kentucky, coming off of a great year, welcome to life in the SEC, picked to finish 10th in the league.
That's a team that he didn't mention. That's one because they came out. I don't say they came out of nowhere. They were a good team 2 years ago, but getting to the Omaha last year and the way they played, Mingione has that program going in the right direction. So I won't be surprised if they make another run this year.
Oklahoma, welcome to the SEC at 11.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they were playing the national championship series. I don't remember who they lost to, but they've been a decent. I don't remember at all.
So that was 2021. Mississippi State won the national title.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
That would have been
clearly.
22.
I don't recall anything about that though. So we'll just move on. Who's in 11th?
Oklahoma.
Oh, okay,
lost to.
I don't.
It was Ole Miss. That's right. It was Ole Miss in 2022, a year after Mississippi State won the.
That doesn't sound right.
It was.
All right. So who's in 12th?
Auburn at 12.
You heard Jacob talk about he's higher on them, and Butch Thompson is a winning coach. So won't be surprised if Auburn gets into the postseason. This is the funny part about this, right? We're talking about the 12th. This is a team we're predicting to finish 12th in this conference, probably no worse than a 2 seed in somebody's regional.
And they could certainly host, too.
Good.
Alabama at 13.
That's a team that's maybe a little underrated. They I wouldn't bet against them.
But
So, yeah.
What's going to happen to him? I haven't seen an update on that. Is he going to prison?
I imagine.
I mean, you can't not, right?
He's got to do something, yeah.
Although, baseball coach faces jail time for giving starting tips to a gambler. Our politicians insider trade every single day. Everybody knows it, and they get to keep on getting rich. Tell me how that makes sense. More tomorrow at
I was going to say, I don't know anything about that.
If Ole Miss picked to finish 15th in the SEC, and I mean, when I put that out there, I was a little surprised, not at some of the reaction, not all of it. I mean, I think the overwhelming majority of Ole Miss fans saw this coming and should have seen this coming. But to those that were, I guess, feeling disrespected, I don't mean to be callous and hate at our friend that tweeted at us over the weekend that doesn't like my approach to the job because she thinks I should be more hotty-totty, y'all.
He said it.
I think this is the first time I've ever said it on the show.
I'm clipping that.
Why are you surprised?
Right.
Over the last 2 years, they've had the worst record in the SEC combined. And they had good players hit the portal. There's a chance that they're better than this. In fact, I really like their starting rotation. I mean, if Hunter Elliott is back to form, then you've really got something here possibly with Ole Miss, with Elliott and Maddox and Nichols, I assume is going to be their rotation. If that's the case, then you might have a really good one. Mm-hmm. All three outfielders, I think, are going to be portal guys. That's the expectation, and they've got real experience, ACC and Big Ten experience, a lot of pop in the outfield. Like, there's a chance that they are good. Mm-hmm. There's certainly a chance that they're good. I wouldn't doubt a Mike Bianco coach team. He's got over 2 decades of sample size of good teams to tell you that there's a chance that this one's good too. Mm-hmm. But when you've been as bad as they have been the last couple of seasons and you lose good players to the portal, why are you surprised at being picked to finish 15 in the best baseball conference in America? They are going to have to prove it to everybody. Nobody's going to, quote-unquote, respect them going into this season. Right. You would hope that it fuels them, They can get fueled by stuff like this. I'd hang this up in every locker in the team facility. I'd put this everywhere. Mm-hmm. But if you're upset about this, I don't know. I don't know how to tell you that this is exactly where they should be to start this season, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, and with Hunter Elliott, like, I got to see a couple starts.
That's fair.
Before I buy into anything there. I like I said before, I'm just shocked that he came back. I thought he would just throw himself into rehab and try to get drafted. And, good on him for wanting to stick around and have one great year in Oxford, have another great year in Oxford, I should say. But, yeah, I mean, this is a team, they lost their, best returning hitter to the portal. They lost a key bullpen arm to the portal. And their portal class, what wasn't spectacular. It had some solid guys in it, but it's not spectacular.
The SEC did a really good job in the portal, and Ole Miss is not one of – and, again, these guys, they could end up being very good. I mean, they're good players. It's not like they signed a bunch of scrubs, but when you compare the classes on paper to others in the SEC, others just simply did better.
They had better classes. So they have a lot of questions. And when you go back-to-back years finishing, the way they have, you're not going to get any preseason respect. And quite honestly, you shouldn't. If Ole Miss was 7th or 8th, I would be asking, like, who voted on this? So, yeah, I don't know where Ole Miss is going to finish. But right now, if you made me pick, I don't know that they're going to be much better than they've been the past couple of years.
So somewhere down there, in order to get respect, you've got to earn it. And I know they won a national championship now 3 seasons ago, but that's a long time between now and then, especially in the portal era. So again, there are some things to like. Luke Hill ended up having a nice season, especially in the back half last year. He returns.
When you think about where he was, in early March, it was they were ready to kick him off the team,
and ended up becoming a leader. A complete. What do they call it in wrestling?
A face turn.
A face turn.
Yeah.
What are those as well? I mean, there's.
You.
I'm learning here. They've got potential, but until potential turns into production, that's all the conversation's going to be about.
Yeah.
Somebody says, I can't wait to see. The thing I can't wait to see is the pitching staff without Mike calling pitches. Yeah, that new pitching coach, and Bianco has said that he is resigning the pitching responsibilities to him, and he's a guy that they got from the Guardians, a major league type guy, and the players apparently really like and respect him, and so there's a chance that the pitching staff is better.
Look at State's turnaround in 1 year with a new pitching coach. In 2023, that was the worst pitching staff in the country. They couldn't get anybody out. They walked way too many guys.
2022, they were bad. In 23, no, you're right.
Yeah, last year was 24.
I forgot that it's been 2 years for each since the title. It's
so
been 2023
was the year where they fired Foxhall midway through the season.
Yeah.
Last year they bring in Justin Parker, and this time last year, we could barely tell you who State's starting rotation was going to be. They ended up having 2 top 50 picks. And then Nate Dome went in the 3rd round, 4th round, something like that. So the right guy in the right spot can make a huge difference. So we'll see if that's the case for Ole Miss or not.
And especially with 3 guys, the assumed guys in the rotation that have produced, right? You've already got – it's not like the projected rotation is guys that you look at and you think, oh, no, this is – oh, gosh, these guys really need to take massive steps forward to be adequate pitchers. All 3 of them have done really nice things in the SEC already. Hunter Elliott, before his injury, was dominant in the SEC. So there's some positivity there. Again, the outfield's got a lot of experience in some pop. Guys that have hit home runs at this level already. Luke Hill returning. There's things to like.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of things to be concerned about. And that's why you were picked to finish 15th in the SEC.
It's got to be a balance, right, of questions versus known factors, right? For Ole Miss, that it's skewed towards questions in a big way.
Absolutely. So we got this question earlier. The real question is, will Bianco survive until the end of the season? I don't think he makes it. I think that answer will be unequivocally yes.
He certainly will coach through. You have to give Bianco the respect of finishing out the season. They're not gonna can him midway through. There's no chance that would happen.
You don't gain anything from that,
right? But could he be in trouble when we get into May? Yeah, absolutely could.
I mean, have another season like that, and
yeah, if you at 3 straight missing Hoovers, it's probably going to be the end.
Although I guess you can't this year.
Oh yeah, I guess you're correct. You can't miss Hoover, but you see what I'm saying. If you're
if you're
in that 15-16 game and you lose one game and you're out, it just doesn't seem like that would be a situation where he could survive that. Yeah.
So and the pressure is on. And the last time his job was on the line, they won a national championship.
Right.
So I'm not saying they're going to do that again, but you have seen a Mike Bianco coach team overcome some low expectations and adversity and come out good on the other side. We'll see if they can do it again this year. Another one difference I see with Ole Miss is winning the games they're supposed to win, like midweeks and non-conference. Well, also, I mean, how many times they shot themselves in the foot last year? Just did not allow themselves. Yeah. They were so awful defensively, and they just gave free runs and just gave them away, and they gave so many games away last year as a result of not being able to do routine stuff.
And that's the same with State. State didn't host last year because they couldn't win non-conference games against subpar opponents. Simple as that. I'm not talking about being able to beat Southern Miss or win the Governor's Cup. I'm talking about you can't lose to Central Arkansas. You can't lose to I'm trying to remember some of the games they lost last year. They had 6 losses going into SEC play.
Yeah,
that's why nobody thought they were going to be any good, because you're like, but if they can't win these games, how are they? And then they win 17 conference games. 17 conference games should host 10 times out of 10. But when you lose that many non-conference games, and I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, State plays Manhattan the first week of the season. That is not a team that I can imagine is going to finish sub or above 150 in the RPI. You need to sweep them. A loss is a damaging thing for your postseason resume in week 1. It's been 3 straight years of not being able to get that opening weekend sweep. They need to do it this year.
601-879-40.